We did great in 2016 and won. We did much better in 2020 than we did in 2016, getting millions and millions more votes. And we're going to do the best of all in 2024. We're going to do numbers like they've never seen before. They rigged the presidential election in 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election in 2024 because our country can't stand it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, fascists, every time they indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor. There must be something a little strange up here because most people crawl into a corner and they die. I'm being indicted for you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. I am. I'm being indicted for you, actually. He questioned the election. He questioned the election. He must be indicted immediately. How many Democrats questioned my election against, I don't call her crooked Hillary because I'm using that now for Biden. I don't like to have to. You know, there are enough words. So I call her beautiful. She's a beautiful woman. I call her beautiful, beautiful Hillary. But how many Democrats, think of it, went after my election? I mean, they still, now they're keeping a little bit quiet, you know, it doesn't look good. Never forget, our enemies want to stop us because we are the only ones who are capable of stopping them, and they know that. We are going to stop them, and we've really stopped them. And the only crime that I committed in the true sense of the word was beating Hillary Clinton, and I screwed them up. I screwed them up so badly. I screwed them up. That was not supposed to happen, but I thought it would. We'd have rallies like this. I will tell you, though, I said before, there's more spirit. Look at this group. This was supposed to be just a little gathering, and then boom. Can't get into the hall. We just did another one, and you can't get into the hall. It's amazing. There's more spirit now than there ever was for either of these two races, and a lot of that, I don't think I've changed too much. A lot of it is because they're so bad. It's so bad. People see it, and they see the contrast, and we did do a great job. We get credit for being one of the greatest administrations. We rebuilt our military, biggest tax cuts ever, biggest regulation cuts ever, strongest border. Would have been no Ukraine. You would have had no inflation because energy caused inflation. You would have had no inflation. We had no inflation. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. It's very simple. And they want to silence me, Wesley, because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you. I just happen to be standing in their way. That's right.
They're not after me. They're after you. I just happen to be standing in the way. That absolutely needs to be his slogan moving forward. He needs to keep the focus on this rather than January 6th or bringing that up. He needs to keep his messaging that inflation under his regime was much better than under President Biden, where we hit a 40-year high. He needs to be talking about gas prices, which under his regime, whenever he left, they were under $2, and now under President Biden, they're right around $4 on average. He needs to be talking about the lack of wars, which of course now we're actively funding. We're wanting to send even more money over to Ukraine. They're now asking for around $300 million more dollars to be sent over to Ukraine to fund that war. He needs to be talking about his record versus how Joe Biden is currently doing, because right now the media and Democrats are wanting their focus to be on January 6th and how Trump is this big evil guy. Now, if we look at polling here on Real Clear Politics, we can see, depending on the poll, it really goes either way, Trump by 1 point or Biden by 1 point. So right now, it really could go either way. And obviously, if RFK Jr. continues to be very upset with the DNC with how he's being treated in the Democratic primaries, and if RFK Jr. decides to run as a third party, obviously that really throws a wrench into the race and more than likely will cause Donald Trump to win by a pretty big landslide just because RFK Jr. is going to be stealing some votes from Biden. So we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. But I'm going to go ahead and continue to play this video where once again Trump touts his record versus Joe Biden's record, which when you compare Trump versus Biden, well, I think we all know how Biden is doing so far. Watch.
As your president, I fought for the people of Iowa like no one has ever fought before, fought hard for you. I took on communist China like no administration in history, bringing hundreds of billions of dollars pouring into our treasury when no other president had gotten even 10 cents from China, not 10 cents. They let China just kill the world economically. I then gave the farmers $28 billion straight out of the tariffs I took from China, a large part of which came from, Iowa was very badly abused by China. You know that. I will always protect Medicare and Social Security for our great seniors. Others running right now, even as Republicans, they're going to destroy Medicare and they're going to destroy Social Security. Under my leadership, we became energy independent for the first time in history and would soon have become energy dominant for the first time ever. We were drilling at a level that nobody had ever seen before. We were going to very soon be energy dominant. We didn't need anybody already. We were independent. But we were going to have so much oil. We were third after Russia and Saudi Arabia. We were going to have I wish I had a chart. I'm going to make a chart for the next one, but I'll bring it up to my next rally and you people can come in Iowa. But you know what? We had a chart and we were third. We were substantially third, low. And then Trump gets in and it goes like this. It goes just right through the roof. It went right through them. And we were going to make so much money. And what we were going to do is start paying off our $35 trillion in debt. And we were going to start lowering taxes even more. I got you the biggest tax cut in history. But we were going to lower taxes even more. That was going to create jobs and a whole thing. But we had so much happening. And as soon as he got in, he stopped it. He stopped Anwar. Anwar, the biggest site probably in the world, probably larger than Saudi Arabia in Alaska. Ronald Reagan tried to do it. He couldn't do it. They all tried to do it. Bush, he tried to do it. They couldn't do it. And I got it done. And in the first week that the person came in, energy, they ended it. They ended Anwar, but I'll get that started very quickly. Alaska was devastated by it. This would have been this is the biggest find anywhere in the world. They think it's actually bigger than Saudi Arabia. It's our land. It's our land. And the people wanted it, the jobs, the economic impact in Alaska, but much beyond that, we would have been 2 and 3 times bigger than anybody else. So we would have had so much money, we would have paid off the debt. And that's where it was going. We were going to pay off the debt. And then this absolute fool of a president said, we're going to stop drilling. And the prices went through the roof. And inflation followed the energy because that's what caused it. We passed the largest tax cuts and regulation cuts in American history. We appointed over 300 federal judges and 3 great Supreme Court justices. And last year, I was able to do something that nobody thought was possible. And you have to really think about this and study this because it's very important. We ended Roe v. Wade. You just think about this. You just think about it. Because people have to get elected. We have to get elected. But I did something that for 52 years people talked. They spent vast amounts of money in fighting it, but they couldn't get the job done. 52 years they fought. And they fought hard. And they spent large. They'd have fundraisers every night. They couldn't get the job done. I got the job done. I got it done. And it's thanks to the 3 great Supreme Court justices and others on the court that I appointed. This issue has been returned to the states where all legal scholars on both sides felt it should be. A few points. Now the pro-life community has tremendous negotiating power. You had none. When you had Roe v. Wade, they could do whatever they want. They could destroy the baby in the 8th month, the 9th month, or even after birth. You know that. They were destroying babies after birth. Like Ronald Reagan before me, I believe in the 3 exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I believe in that. I think it's very important. Without the exceptions, it is very difficult to win elections. We would probably lose the majorities in 2024 without the exceptions, and perhaps the presidency itself. But you have to follow your heart regardless. You have to follow your heart. You can't do it for just the election, but you have to follow your heart. At the same time, we have to win elections. Otherwise, we'll be back where we were. In order to win in 2024, Republicans must learn how to properly talk about abortion. I was watching some of these people, I won't say where, but states. Okay, Pennsylvania, Michigan. Good candidates, very good candidates. I was watching them get clobbered because they didn't understand the issue. They didn't talk about it properly. This issue cost us unnecessarily, but dearly in the midterms. It cost us dearly, really, and unnecessarily. We have to expose the Democrats like crooked Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, that's another great one, as being the true radicals. They're the radicals. Pro-lifers aren't the radicals. They're the radicals on the abortion issue, and you have to say that, in that they allow the killing of babies in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th month, and they even allow the killing of the baby after birth. You remember the governor of Virginia, former governor, he sat there and he said, yes, we will allow abortions, and including when the baby is born, we will wrap the baby and we will talk to the mother and they will execute the baby if that's what they want. No, we can't allow that. But it was okay to rip the baby out of the womb. Remember with Hillary Clinton during the debate, I said, rip the baby out of the womb. Under Roe v. Wade, you could rip the baby out of the womb in the 8th month, in the 9th month, and nobody wants that, including Democrats. You know, they did a poll, I think 94% of the people, after a certain period of time, they don't want that. They don't want to destroy a living soul. Now with Roe v. Wade, no longer, now that it's gone, it's no longer, the power to negotiate is with the pro-life movement, not the radical left Democrats who are so willing to destroy life.